Hello, all you beautiful people, and welcome to or welcome back to the Voice of Reality podcast. I am so grateful to have you here and have you tuning in today. And I hope your day is feeling absolutely amazing in any sort of way possible. So, how have we all been this week and how are we all feeling? I myself am currently on week 6. I think I'm coming into week 7. I must double check that. Of a calorie deficit at the moment. And if you follow me on Instagram as well, you'll probably know all about this as I do document it a lot every week, which can I just say is so much fun and it really helps me keep accountable. So that is a major win for myself. I'm enjoying it a lot at the moment. And I think a huge aim of this specific cut for me was to go slower this time round and just to give myself more time instead of rushing it for something very specific like a shoot or prep or holiday. And this time round, I just decided, to go into this cut with no like major goal at the end of it. So I'm normally used to having something kind of at the end of a block of time. And this time I was like, do you know what? I want to give it more of a lifestyle kind of approach. I don't have any specific timeline. It's something a little bit newer to me as I haven't actually taken this approach in a very, very long while. I've always kind of been prepping for something, or else I was just constantly in a calorie deficit. I feel like before I knew a lot about nutrition, what I was doing maybe 3, 4 years ago, all I remember was being in a calorie deficit. I don't think there was ever a time where I wasn't not in one. So I think then when I kind of started going through different phases of like maintenance and then building a bit and then obviously cutting from there, this is the first kind of bit of a lifestyle approach that I've ever taken with this. So it's a little bit different. I get some off-plan meals, which is obviously a bonus. And there is some kind of occasions that I knew were going to be creeping up as well, which I just made sure to factor into my timeline itself. And I suppose I'm just willing to give this cut a longer period of time. And that's what makes all the difference. If it's going to take longer, I'm absolutely okay with that, especially considering I get a Five Guys every few weeks and every now and again. You might, though, have a holiday, or you might want to do a photo shoot or a prep, or actually focus on a very, very specific goal. And that is very different. You may have to cut or be a little bit more strict for these things, and you may have to be very specific and not as flexible. But it all depends on the goals and the time you're willing to give it. So everyone is completely different. Your goals are different, and everyone's roadmap, everything like that will differ. Which, can I just say also, if you are beginning your journey, there should be even no kind of thoughts of how long it's going to take your roadmap and just kind of the length of time that it might take you to get to a certain place. Because when you begin, you need to just get started and focus on the direction you're going in. But then as you kind of continue and maybe you want to challenge yourself a bit more as you keep going, then maybe you could maybe bring a very, very specific goal in place or a specific timeline. But at the beginning, just focus on your direction. Okay. So I don't want that to get twisted whatsoever. Also, can we just talk about this week? Because I feel like it's been happening to a lot of people. I don't know what's in the air, but it's like as if my brain and body just aren't on the same page. And I've just felt so drained in such a strange, strange way. It's not just that it's like, oh, I have no energy and I just don't really want to do things. I've just felt like really disconnected from reality or something. It's just so strange. On Thursday, I was literally like, do you know what? I'm just going to go for a nap. I'm just going to go for a 20-minute nap because I woke up just not feeling myself and I was just a bit all over the place. I went to sleep for 4 hours. I was my eyes closed, shut, Zeds coming out of my nose for 4 hours. I woke up, I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what I was doing. I was delirious. I think this is the first time this has happened to me in so long, like so long, like that I can remember anyway. But I'm just wondering if like the moon is upside down or side to side or something, because this week has just been so strange in the weirdest of ways. And I need to know what's going on or what is around in the air. What's going on? Because it's actually been happening to so many people. Nearly everyone I talk to is feeling the same. So I'm like, thank God it's not just me, but it still doesn't make me any less kind of freaked out about, like, can someone give me some answers? Does anyone know about anything out there? If anyone's been feeling that this week, I'm absolutely here with you. Like, it was one of those days on Thursday where, you close your eyes for 20 minutes and then 4 hours later you wake up and you don't know what universe you're in. So that's always amazing. Let's get into our question of the week on Let's Be Real. And surprisingly enough, I've actually been asked this question multiple of times this past month, which I just feel like it's becoming more and more kind of common thinking about these things and asking these questions because we're seeing a little bit more of it, I think, with macros and things like that anyway. But the question is, how do I create meals myself with my macros? Do I start with protein and then my carbs and then my fats? So, when it comes to macros, they're normally daily or else weekly targets, depending on obviously how you want to set them. They're not just meal by meal targets. Okay. So please don't think of it just one singular meal at a time for your macros. They should be obviously a daily or a weekly target. So when creating your meals, I would make sure that all of them consecutively in the day make up your target, not just one meal by itself. So for any of my clients and for a lot of people that I'll speak to, I normally do daily targets. So I'm going to kind of base it off that. If you want a balanced meal, I would make sure to include all three macros in it. So I would always say at least 30 grams of protein per meal. If there's more, that is even better. So do not fear protein. But the mistake you might be making here, or anyone, is that you're narrowing it down to meal by meal and specific meals. Instead, what you should do is have a target for the day and then split that into 3 meals and even some snacks, obviously, if you can fit them in as well. I would have your target for the day and then divide that by your 3 meals, or else just plan out your meals so you know you're reaching your targets for the day. I want to just obviously make sure as well that you're not making that mistake of thinking too deep into each meal instead of the whole day. So, this week's topic is one I see people struggle with all of the time. So I am extremely excited to get into this and kind of chat about it with you all because I know it's going to answer so many questions, but it's also going to have so many light bulb moments for so many of you as we chat about it. So, as a coach, it is my job to educate and guide you through nutrition. Well, I feel like we all need to be educated and guided through nutrition, no matter where you are in your journey. I want to show you how it helps you on your journey and just in life in general. And one huge part of nutrition and nutrition in general is your calories. And we will also tip on protein at the end as well. So, a huge roadblock that I see for so many people is their diet day to day and what they eat on a day to day basis and what's going on just in their general lifestyle with nutrition. The nutrition side of things is like a different language to so many, and trying to comprehend what to do with it all, with all of the noise out there as well, is extremely tough. And trust me, I've been there too, so I understand. There is so much information, so many hacks, so many recipes, so many different techniques and versions out there online or just around us all that it's so hard to know which one to actually look at and to take serious. For me personally, I grew up trying every single diet, every version, every method because I was like, surely one has to work. I used to literally make up diets and methods to see what I could do and just to test the waters, really, which was never very clever as not one of those was ever sustainable and not one ever actually benefited me in the way that I needed it to. Yes, I'd lose some weight and I'd look smaller. But when you're eating 1,000 calories a day with no carbs or sugar, it's not hard to see a change after a few weeks. So it's not hard to actually lose a bit of weight and to see some changes. But this is the thing, it only ever lasted a few weeks as it was such extreme approaches and so unsustainable that I would never be able to keep it up long term. And as a result, I would end up right back at square one every damn time. Every damn time. This cycle would continue for years and years. Like I wasted so much of my life just going around in cycles, trying different, extreme, unsustainable approaches. I tried every quick fix I could find, literally everything in the book, everything on the internet, even down to one of those juice detoxes. And this actually always makes me laugh. Those juice detoxes, that was hell. That was one that always sticks out for me. I literally have PTSD from it. But you know the ones where you drink like 5 juices per day instead of eating food. So basically, you get a crate of juices, and I remember them being delivered. It was the most exciting day of my life because I was like, "This is the one. This is going to change me forever. It's going to change my life. I'm going to love this." I don't know why I thought that they would taste nice, but anyway, I remember getting the crate delivered. You had, so there was 5 for 5 days. So you get 25 juices, and there's one for your morning, lunch, dinner, and then 2 little snack juices as well. So, yes, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're definitely blessed and you're definitely God's favorite out there. So just keep it at that because these things were horrendous. I remember doing this particular method because I was going to a Debs and I was wearing a tight red dress. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to try this now. I need the quickest fix possible because I need to look good in a week and I need to lose some weight. I need to feel good. I need to feel clean. What better way to do this than a detox in 5 days? And to, yeah, just get the quickest fix out of it that I could possibly think of. So this did lead me to the juices, and honestly, it's safe to say I will never look at beetroot the same ever. Beetroot or ginger, I can literally, I my eyes water when I think of these. I don't know why I was convinced they'd actually taste nice because I don't know if anyone else out there listening to this ever tried these juices, but they are like drinking your worst nightmare in a bottle. Well, for me especially, because I remember back then I actually hated vegetables. And that was baby Rachel. I'm fine with vegetables now, but back then I despised them. So I don't know why I thought that they'd be nice. I think like the advertisement and stuff led me to believe that these were going to literally be like drinking orange juice or something, but that was not the case. I did, of course, lose some weight. And if I remember correctly, the scales dropped a whopping 7 pounds. Can you believe it? I was extremely impressed, and I only had to put myself through hell and drink these awful concoctions and basically starve myself for 5 days straight. But then guess what happened? That 7 pounds went straight back on as soon as I started to eat meals and to eat food again. I remember I went straight to a garage and got a chicken fillet roll the day I was finished my last juice. In literally the space of eating the chicken fillet roll, I put 2 pounds back on already because the weight I had lost was all water and liquid. I didn't actually lose any body fat in the process of this method. It was all water, all liquid. And of course, if you're not eating food, you are going to lose weight. And what I see way too often than not is people wanting these quick fixes still, even though they might know how toxic they are. Wanting to slash calories, not caring about the aftermath of it itself, and just wanting something fast and instant. Can I please say this as loud as I possibly can? And for everyone that is listening, tuning in, and everyone down the back, it is not the answer. Quick fixes are not the answer. And I have learned this in so many hard ways. Calories and nutrition are absolutely essential to making progress. Nutrition is probably 80% of everything that we do. Whether you want to lose weight or body fat, whether you want to gain weight or muscle or tissue, or if you just want to maintain how you look, your nutrition and diet is literally probably the most important part of the entire journey. The majority of the time and majority of clients and amazing women that I get to help and guide want to go down the route of a calorie deficit and want to actually lose body fat and body weight. And can I just remind absolutely everyone that every method that you do see out there, maybe keto, intermittent fasting, these juice detoxes, meal plans, they all work with the same method. And that is the thing that we're going to learn today. They all work with the same method, and that is a calorie deficit. Every single one of those methods and versions of dieting that you see, and if it's to lose weight, you are in a calorie deficit, and that is what they all have in common. So this is if you obviously want to lose weight, and the time it takes is obviously completely dependent on you, of course. But once you're in a calorie deficit, you will lose body fat and you will lose weight. There's so many ways to approach your journey. But can I please just say to approach it with the idea that it might actually take a little bit longer than you think. It will more than likely take longer than a few months or weeks, and it will more than likely mean that you have to put in the work to see the reward. Let yourself earn it because that is how you know you're doing it correctly. It's meant to be hard. Always remember that. Well, okay, I do want to also say that it's not the hardest thing in the world, but it is going to be a little bit tricky from time to time. But you want to build a sustainable system. You want to build something that means you don't end up back at the starting line again and back in that same cycle like every other time. You want to learn and to grow and to evolve into a better person, not only to look better, but to feel better, have more energy, better sleep, less stress. You want to create the ultimate lifestyle so that you have this for as long as you need it. But what exactly is a calorie deficit? So let's get into that. A calorie deficit means you are taking in less calories per day than what you are using. So, in the simplest of terms, you are eating less and moving more. This means you are burning more energy by moving and taking in less energy too. So, you will ultimately be burning fat in your body and calories in the body. But here's the hole that everyone falls down. And I see this all of the time: not eating enough calories on a day to day basis. People create this ginormous calorie deficit, and that is where they fall. I don't know what it is with us females, but why is the answer to always drop our calories to 1,000 or 1,200 calories and then to just literally starve? We can barely survive off of this. And please know that I get it because I have been there too, and I'm speaking from experience. I used to think I could absolutely never, like, no way, go over 1,400 calories a day. Like, that was my max. That was the cutoff point for me. And at one stage, a few months back, I was eating double that. I was eating over 2,500 calories a few months ago, and my body was reacting better than ever. So please know that it is not the answer to just slash your calories to the lowest form. And if you had told me I needed to eat more than what I was actually eating back then in order to actually see progress, I honestly would have laughed. So I do understand it, and I have been in your shoes. We all think that the lower the calories, the better, which I understand, as a calorie deficit is needed. But let me just break this down for you. So you decide to slash your calories to 1,000 calories per day. Your body gets used to this, and your metabolism doesn't even have enough energy to move or burn any of the calories needed to be burnt in your body. So, your metabolism is now getting quite slow, as it just doesn't have enough energy to actually do what it needs to do because you're eating so little. Your digestion system will probably go to shit, excuse the pun. Your body won't be reacting the way you want it to because you went too extreme too quickly, and it doesn't have any fuel now or energy to actually make the changes that you want to see. You're starving and you hate what you're doing. You can't sustain this way of living every day, especially considering you're seeing no progress with it either. So, guess what? You quit after about a week or even 2 weeks. And guess what now? You're back to the start and wondering why nothing ever works for you and why you fail every single time. The reason why you failed is because you set yourself up to fail. Did you really think you could eat those calories every day for the rest of your life? When you slash your calories down to those little tiny things of 1,000 or 1,200 calories, do you really think you're going to be able to sustain that for a very long period of time and actually see the progress you want to see? Then there's another method where everyone just strips themselves of carbs and or even sugar and are just miserable every day because of it, which again will end up in the exact same process. You strip yourself of carbs or of sugar, you end up absolutely resenting what you're doing, and you can't sustain it, and you quit. You shouldn't be taking anything away or any food groups away from your diet. Every single food group is necessary and used to actually help fuel us and to keep us satisfied on a day to day. So please keep the carbs, keep the sugar. We absolutely love them and we want them there. Carbs are life, people, okay? Your calorie deficit, number one, should be sustainable, and you shouldn't necessarily feel like you're on a diet or hungry, especially at the beginning. Especially at the beginning. It should not feel like you are going through hell and back, okay? At the beginning, it's not easy, but it should be a little bit lighter to actually get used to it and make it more sustainable. And number two, your calorie deficit should include every single food group: protein, carbs, fats being the three most important throughout the day. So, how do you know you're actually in a calorie deficit? I would always say you should start in and around a 300 to 500 calorie deficit kind of gap and margin. I would even go as far as saying to start at a maintenance and then tiptoe downwards into the calories kind of deficit itself and bring it down maybe 300 less and then down 500. And each week, assess things. This will mean you are in a calorie deficit of, say, 500 calories per day. So this is 3,500 calories per week of a calorie deficit that you're in, which is a very, very big number. As females, we see it all of the time. You are allocated your calories and you freak out a bit thinking that they're far too high. You couldn't possibly eat over 1,500 calories on a day to day basis. I see this all of the time with clients and women that I work with. You kind of think that you could never, ever, ever go over a certain amount. And I might say, okay, we're going to start with 1,900 calories, and your eyes bulge out of your head, and you're like, I could never eat that. But let me ask you this. Has what you've been doing, so far, been actually working for you lately? Has your 1,500 or 1,200 calories actually worked for you before? The answer is probably not. And that is why you're asking for the help. So make sure that you do what needs to be done and make sure you're hitting your calories and feeling good and energized while you do it. And I also always hear the famous, I've never eaten that much food before. But I can guarantee you have. It's just that you've been eating all the wrong foods. So it didn't feel like you were actually eating as much because the volume wasn't as dense. When you actually eat the right food groups, you will have more volume in your day to day. So it feels like you're eating more than before. And that's why you'll feel more satisfied and you won't feel like you're starving all of the time. Another reason, though, why your calorie deficit might not be working for you right now is the weekends. We have to address the fact that if you want to see results, it's a 7-day-a-week job. If you go all out on a Saturday and Sunday, that could send your calories way over your calorie deficit. If you're being good behaving, we shall say, on a Monday to Friday, and then come Saturday, Sunday, you just go all out, eat everything, the pizza, drinks, we have some occasions, some meals out, chocolate on the weekend, everything like that. This can really be holding you back because you can be tipping yourself over your calorie deficit just on those 2 days. And I just want to tip into calorie banking as well. This can be done where you save some calories, say, during the week and then use them at the weekend for yourself. But I really don't agree with this method at all, as it can get very toxic. And also, you do actually need to be fueling yourself every day and creating a strong routine every day. You shouldn't be saving back or holding back on calories for an extra bar of chocolate on a Saturday night. If it's extremely needed and it's for something very specific, okay, I might give it a bit of leeway, but I definitely don't think anyone should rely upon calorie banking itself. I actually have a macro calculator in my bio on Instagram. So if you're just not sure where to start with all of this calorie deficit talk and macros and different things like that, Life and Gym Gear is my Instagram. If you click the bio, you'll see a free macro calculator and you will be given your calories for the goals you wish to get after. And you'll also be given your macros. I also have a free e-guide on calories and what they're actually for and how you can use them to your advantage. And that is also in my bio, and that is called How to Lose 10 Pounds in 10 Days. So this will give you so much more knowledge on everything that's going on as well. So I just mentioned macros there too. And there is one macro in particular that I want to delve into, as this will help so many. And it does tie in well with calorie deficit itself, as this is probably the most important food group that we have. And she is the queen herself, Miss Protein. Okay. So, what is protein? A lot of people might ask, or not even what is it, but why? Why is it so important? We all know that it is important and it helps recovery and repair. It also gives us energy, but it does a lot more than that and more than meets the eye. Hitting your protein is a full-time job. I am very aware of this. Until you get used to it, it can be very, very tough. And some days it feels like it can actually take over your life, your mindset, and it can be quite overwhelming trying to learn and navigate through it all because there's just way too much noise out there. And what I obviously always want to do, and what I promise to you, is that it shouldn't always feel this way. And we want to narrow it down here. So I want to kind of chat in about and tap into tips, tricks, and some helpful information that can obviously support you as you go. When I first started, I only looked at my calories and I only looked at kind of the base amount of calories, and this is fine. But as time goes on, you do need to look a little bit deeper, as it will help a lot with your journey and being able to continuously make progress. So, what does protein actually do and help with? Protein, obviously, of course, essentially helps with muscle growth and repair. And if you are obviously training muscle groups within the gym and resistance training, this is extremely important. And as obviously, what we want to do is we want to train very hard and intensely. And then we want to be eating enough protein so that that muscle and what we're training isn't just going to waste, and that the muscle is actually growing and repairing properly. That is so important. Protein is also harder to break down in the metabolism. And as it passes through your gut, it takes more energy to break down protein than any other type of food in the body. So your body actually does more when breaking down this macronutrient, this actual protein, amino, and things like that. So protein is actually a natural fat burner in the body as well, because you use more energy to break it down. So it's burning energy as it does this. It's burning fat. There is more value in protein for the calories of it than there is in any other macro. So, say like carbs or fats. You will get more volume out of protein for the amount of calories that's in it than you will for any other food group like fats, carbs, or sugars, or anything like that. So, this will mean you'll be able to eat more protein and actually save some calories as well. Protein also keeps us full and satiated. And can I please just say, I want you to picture all this. You have a plate full of meat, full of lean beef, and then you also have a plate full of carbs. If you eat the plate of lean beef, you will feel full and you will feel satisfied, and I can guarantee you will not crave more meat. If you eat the plate full of carbs, you will be somewhat full, but you'll still be craving more. And it's mad how it happens. But protein does keep you so much satiated for longer and feeling so much more satisfied after you actually eat it. So that is a huge benefit of protein on your plate as well. So I just want to have a look at some tips to actually help you get your protein target hit each and every day, as this is something that I know we can all struggle with. So, what I always say, especially to all clients as we begin, is to make sure that there is protein in every single meal. I normally say to make sure there's about 30 grams of protein in every single meal. If not, and if you can, have more. Absolutely. Please plan ahead of time. As a coach, I see this all of the time, and I cannot sing this enough. If you fail to plan, and if you just don't care, you are ultimately literally setting yourself up to fail. If you're not sitting down the night before or just before the day actually begins and popping your food into MyFitnessPal, you will just go through the day winging it and hoping for the best. And then you get to the end of the day and you put it in MyFitnessPal and you realize the errors you have made. You should always be planning ahead and before it even happens, as this will eliminate any signs of guesswork or excuses, and it will eliminate a lot of errors and failures. Please prep your food. If you can prep your food ahead of time, please make sure you're doing this, as this is such a handy way for so many people to save time and to actually make sure that their meals are ready for them so that they don't have the excuses, that they can just go to the fridge, they can take their meal, heat it up, and all as well. If you really need to, you can supplement protein powder as well. Whey protein, clear whey, beef whey, vegan whey. These are amazing to incorporate into your day to day if you cannot get protein hit throughout food itself. So if you're getting it through your food, please don't think that you need protein powder, because you don't. This is just if you cannot get it through food groups itself. If you want to incorporate some protein snacks in, absolutely do. We absolutely love protein snacks. Don't let anyone tell you different. Now, I wouldn't say to get all of your protein through this, but if you want to incorporate one into the day, a protein yogurt, a protein bar, a protein mousse, absolutely. Why not? And this is the top tip that I tell everyone, and I even use myself. If you like tuna, I know it's not for everyone, but make sure you have tuna in the fridge 24/7. Tuna is the easiest and most elite food you can possibly have in the fridge all the time. When it comes to calories and macros, tuna is literally king. It's just full of protein and nothing else. Think for like a big can of tuna, there's 120 calories and there is about 25 to 30 grams of protein in that, which is insane. It's nearly as close to a protein shake. Okay, so a top tip would always be to have tuna near and just in the fridge, just in case of a rainy day. And if you really, really need to up your actual protein intake at the end of a day. You don't want to feel like you're on a diet or that you're starving, can I just say? I hear this so much on calls and just chatting to people how they've had such toxic perceptions on counting calories and macros because the last time they did it, they were on some crazy calorie goal of like 1000 or 1200 and just dying for a chocolate bar every single night. It should not feel this way. A lot of the time, if you're going and if your goal is fat loss, and a lifestyle approach is something that you're actually looking for, you shouldn't actually feel like you're on a strict diet, especially at the beginning. You should be feeling the opposite. You should have more energy. You should be feeling more satisfied, more pep in your step, more fueled, because you're actually giving your body what it needs and giving it the correct amounts of what it needs when it comes to the goals that you have. Your journey becomes a lot easier to navigate when you understand why and what you're doing, especially when it comes to nutrition. As I said, it's literally 80% of the battle. You can't outtrain a bad diet. So please, if anything, make sure nutrition is nailed as you begin and that you actually feel confident with it and the knowledge that you hold with it as well. And please stop doing stupid shit like cutting out carbs, these detox juice diets, no sugar, 1000 calories diets, because it's simply not needed. You are honestly torturing yourself for no reason. As I've said, I have been there. I have gone through years of this torture system for no reason, as I'd always end back up at square one until I actually delved into learning and understanding nutrition. It doesn't have to be torture. And you most definitely do not have to fast in any sense of the word. You just need to be in a calorie deficit. And in the most simplest of terms, you need to eat less and you need to move more in the smallest of ways. I really hope this episode has helped anyone out there that needed it. And I can imagine there may still be some questions lingering around. And as always, never be afraid to reach out and just fire away. If you're still listening and have gotten this far, thank you so much. And always, always, always do not forget to share, tag, or follow so I can personally say thank you and actually see you all. For now, please remember, it's simple, but it's not easy. I have been in your shoes before. And I've also had to start at the very beginning and work my way up. And I've always had to learn all of these new things and try to understand it all just like you. But that should never stop you, as we all need to begin in order to continue and in order to progress. Oh, and I once heard this: the only stupid question you can possibly ask is asking no questions at all. Something I take very seriously. So please never be afraid to reach out and ask those questions and discuss things with me. That's how you learn and that is how you grow. And as I've said, there is so much free things in my bio with regards to nutrition guides and with regards to the macro calculator that you can avail of literally today. Thank you so much for being here with me as well. And as always, remember, if there's days you feel low or you feel like you're filled with doubt or that you simply just don't believe in yourself, I'm over here believing in you and I am over here rooting for you.